Alex is a 23-year-old woman who has recently got on her feet financially from her recent promotion at work. She works at a business consulting firm as a junior consultant. She is now able to afford a car and has moved into a new and bigger apartment closer to where she works. Alex takes High Street 21 to work daily. The road, which runs along the cliffside with railings to stop cars from going over the edge. Not many accidents have taken place despite the location. However, due to a minibus accident falling off the edge a while ago killing all 15 people on board, the local government reinforced the railings. Today, Alex took the road to work as usual and went about her daily routine, and all seemed fine. That was until she got into an accident on her way home from work. She crashed into the side rails of the road, but luckily, since the railings had been reinforced from the last accident, her car stopped crashing into the railings, throwing her forward and hitting her head on the dashboard, but stopped her car from being thrown over the side of the cliff as the minibus did. She miraculously survived the otherwise deadly accident with a bruise on her forehead and a few cuts on her arms. Alex got out of the wrecked car slowly, trembling from the injuries, to inspect the damage sustained to her car. She noticed the left view mirror was gone, the bonnet of the car was crushed inwards, and the trunk of the car had a dent. After inspecting the damage, she tried to start the car again, but to no avail. Finally, she stranded on a high, called the car servicing company to have her car taken away to be fixed. Within 40 minutes, her Greek cousin Mino arrived and waited with her until the servicing company arrived to tow the car away. After Alex's car was towed away, she followed her car, which was a van. As she climbed inside the van, she saw a number of people sitting at the back. Her cousin said she and her friends were on their way to their parents' evening at her daughter's school until Alex called, after which they took a detour to pick her up. After reassuring Mino she did not need medical attention, Alex apologized to Mino for the trouble she had caused. Still trembling from the injury, Alex slowly climbed into the back of the van, where she saw 3 women in their mid-30s sitting facing each other, talking about their day. One teenager was looking out the window with bored eyes and yawning occasionally. Alex looked to be some sort of puzzle game, and next to them were what seems to be a married couple, probably the parents of the 2 children. Alex then took a seat next to the bored-looking teenager and attempted to initiate a conversation. "Not a great way to start a night," said Alex. The boy turned and looked at her and kept silent, then looked out the window. Alex, knowing a thing or two about teenagers, decided it was best to leave him alone, since the generation gap between him and her was quite vast, at least an 8 years difference. It is unlikely she could relate to him. Alex therefore kept silence throughout the whole trip until she got home. By the time she got home, it was already 7 p.m. It was getting late. She thanked her cousin for picking her up and proceeded to let herself in the apartment building. She took the elevator up to the 4th floor and to her apartment and proceeded to unlock the door to her apartment. As she grabbed the doorknob to open the door, she noticed it was unusually cold, but thought nothing of it. It was probably just a cold day. She opened the door and walked inside. She threw her belongings onto the bed and went to the bathroom to take a shower. She walked inside the bathtub and drew the curtains and walked out. On her way, she suddenly slipped and fell on her back. She got up and slowly saw that she had slipped on, not a puddle of water, but a small pool of blood. She thought it may have been hers, as she walked into the shower earlier. Her blood may have dripped, but her wounds had already dried up. It couldn't have been hers. Alex, confused and somewhat afraid, washed the blood down the drain and went to make dinner before going to bed around 11 p.m. Her sleep was quite peaceful until she was woken up at 3 a.m., only to find it difficult to fall asleep again. She twisted and turned but could not fall back asleep. Eventually she did fall back asleep. Alex woke up again at 6 a.m. She walked into the bathroom, assuring herself there was no longer a pool of blood on the bathroom floor. She drew open the curtains and walked into the bathtub, closing the curtains behind her, and took a shower. After she was finished, she drew open the curtains and walked out of the shower. She walked to her bed as she dried her hair with a towel when she noticed small drops of blood next to her bed. Again, scared and confused, she rubbed away the small blood stains with her feet and decided to get dressed and leave for work early without breakfast. Since her car had broken down from the accident, she borrowed her cousin's van to drive to and from work. As Alex drove through High Street 21 on her way to work, she felt the car got lighter, but on her way from work it got heavier. Not significantly, but heavier. She assumed it was just a difference in the driving capabilities of the car, and she paid no attention. Or rather, she preferred not to pay attention. Something about that street was off. Something felt abnormal. The weird feeling lingered on for the next few days. Each day, Alex was woken at 5 a.m., and each day Alex took a shower, then discovered little specks of blood and left for work early. Today again, she was woke up at 3 a.m. It was so frequent now, the abnormal started to come normal. As she drew open the curtains, it closed behind her and took a shower once again. After she was done, she opened the curtains and saw wet footprints leaving the bathroom. She was taken aback by the sight and slowly walked out of the bathroom. Upon leaving the bathroom, she realized the prints led to her far side of the bed. Hesitantly, and what seemed to be in hindsight of poor judgment, she followed the prints. As she reached the far side of her bed, she saw a massive pool of blood. Alex, now completely terrified, grabbed the nearest dress within her grasp and ran out of her room. She ran to the van, wrapped in a towel, and putting aside the dress, and ran out of her room. She ran to the van, wrapped in a towel, and pushing aside the dress she grabbed, drove to her cousin's house. Arriving at her cousin's house in a hurry and panicked, Alex banged on the door as hard as she could. Her cousin opened the door drowsy, and before she could ask Alex what happened, Alex hugged her. After calming down, Alex explained to her cousin what had happened, the pools of blood, the footprints, and abnormalities occurring in her apartment. Her cousin hugged Alex and said she was probably still frightened from the accident, most likely a trauma. "Well, you're with me now. It's okay," her cousin assured her. Alex started to calm down and wiped the tears off her face. She apologized for causing her cousin trouble again, and then attempted to lighten the mood, she asked, "How was the parents' evening that night?" "Boring. You can't expect a good time with a group of middle-aged women and their children talking about a school," she replied. "Stay here. I'll make us a cup of coffee," her cousin said. Alex sat down on her cousin's sofa, feeling more at ease. She turned up the TV to fill the weary, silent room with noise. The news was on, and the anchor was talking about some international crisis, when she noticed a text rubbing at the bottom of the screen. "Double tragedy, High Street 21. Victims still missing. Police are investigating the incident with local authorities." It seems High Street 21 is becoming more and more unsafe, thought Alex. Suddenly she heard knocks at the door. Alex called for her cousin, but no reply was heard. The knocks were loud, then quiet, then loud again. The knocking continued without signs of stopping. Alex, getting slightly annoyed, went to the door to answer the rude and impatient guest. Upon opening the door, Alex saw no one. Mina walked out of the kitchen with 2 cups of coffee when she realized her front door was opened and her cousin Alex was gone and seemed to have driven home on her van. The following day, Mina picked up her newspaper from the front door and saw in the headlines, 3 confirmed victims on High Street.